In this lesson, we are going to add and subtract fractions with unlike or not having common denominators. Now, you need to remember that we've talked about this before, that you cannot add, subtract, or compare fractions unless they have common or like denominators. The denominator has to be the same in order for you to add, subtract, or compare them. One way to find a common denominator, and we want to find the lowest common denominator. The lowest common denominator is what we're looking for. We could find all kinds of them, but the lowest one is always easiest. So whenever you find the LCM, or the lowest common multiple, you have found the lowest common denominator. And if you remember our lesson from yesterday, that's what we were looking for. So let's take a look at and subtracting. All right, so we have 1/2 minus 1/5. Notice we do not have common denominators. So we need to find the LCM so we can find a common denominator. Let's put these on the ladder. 2 and 5. 2 is the lowest prime number, and that's how we use the ladder. And 2 does go into 2, but it does not go into 5. And the only two numbers that go into 2 are 1 and 2. So the only number that goes into both 2 and 5 is 1. So 2 divided by 1 is 2. 5 divided by 1 is 5. And once again, we find our LCM by multiplying down the L. So the LCM equals 1 times 2 times 5. And 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. So our LCM is going to be 10. So that means we need to change these fractions into something over 10. So we have 1/2. We're going to change that into a fraction over 10. We have 1/5. We're going to change that into a fraction over 10. To do this, we need a magic 1. And the magic 1 in this case is, how do I turn 2 into 5? Well, I can multiply 2 times 5, and that equals 10. And how do I turn 5 into 10? I can multiply 5 times 2 equals 10. So remember, I need a magic 1. So let's remind ourselves that these are actually going to be equal to 1. That's a very lousy 1 there, but that's supposed to be a 1. So that has to be a 2, and that has to be a 5. And 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times 2 is 2. So we have 5/10 and 2/10. So we have 5/10 and 2/10. Let's write them above their respective fractions. 1/2 is going to equal 5/10. This is a subtraction problem. And 1/5 is going to equal 2/10. So we'll write that here. And remember, when we're subtracting or adding, the denominator stays the same. So if our denominator is 10, the denominator of our answer must be 10. And 5 minus 2 is 3. And 3/10 is simplified because 3 is a prime number, and 3 does not go into 10 evenly. So 3/10 is our answer. So 1/2 minus 1/5 equals 3/10. This time we're going to add fractions with unlike denominators. Well, we can put them on the ladder, but let me show you how to another way, and remind you of another way of finding the LCM by skip counting. So we have 6 and we have 8. We're going to skip count 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, and 48. We'll just stop there. Let's go with 8. 8 times 1 is 8. 16, 24, 30, 32, 40, 48, and we'll stop there. Now again, we're looking for the lowest. Even though the 48 is the same, let's look at the lowest. So let's look down at this end, see what we have. This is the same. Here we go. 24. Our LCM is going to be 24. So we need to convert 6/8 into a fraction over 24. And we need to convert 1/6 into a fraction over 24. Now here's a little secret to know what to make your magic one, because if you don't know how to turn 8 into 24 or 6 into 24, let's look at this. 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 6 times 3 is 18, 6 times 4 is 24. So to turn 6 into 24, I'm going to multiply by a magic 1 of 4 over 4. 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24. So I'm going to turn 8 into 24 with a magic 1 of 3 over 3. So 6 times 3 is 18, 8 times 3 is 24, 6 times 4 is 24, and 1 times 4 is 4. So here's our two fractions, 4/24 and 18/24. So let's write them up above their respective fractions. So 6/8 is actually equal to 18/24, and 1/6 is actually equal to 4/24, and this told us to add these. The reason why we have to have common denominators is the denominator stays the same, 24. Now we have to add 18 plus 4. 18 plus 4 is going to be 22. So now we have a fraction of 22/24. There's one problem with this. Both of these numbers are even, and it lets me know that this can be simplified. So let's try that on the ladder. 22 over 24. The lowest prime is 2. 2 goes into 22 11 times. 2 goes into 24 12 times. These numbers are consecutive, and it lets me know that my simplified fraction is 11/12. So what we found is that 6/8 plus 1/6 equals 11/12.